Xabi Alonso finally, basically officially being Real Madrid's new head coach coming to next year. I have a bunch of players. I have a bunch of tactics. I have a whole mindset of how I think Real Madrid should do and how they should do them coming to next season. For me, Xabi Alonso has been a manager that I've been wanting Real Madrid way before even Ancelotti was even coach of Real Madrid. After Zinedine Zidane left, Carlos Ancelotti, for me, I've never been a fan of how he runs the team. I made a whole different video about explaining why and how I felt, but this is more being a Madrid of after that. But practically it's short and simple. I hated how Madrid played, even though they lost one game last year in La Liga and winning the Champions League and the league. People might say I'm, a baby, thinking how Madrid need to be perfect and everything, but Madrid is my favorite club, and I want them to be the best. And I have the solutions, and I know the way how Real Madrid are going to be the best. So here, I think this is how Real Madrid should line up going into next year. This season, you figured out Ancelotti he has favoritism. Carlos Ancelotti likes playing the same players, even though if they're performing bad, and you have such a rotational midfield, such a rotational players on the bench, such a good players, underrated players that you don't play, and you really need to switch it up, and that's why we have injuries. That's why Madrid are not playing as how they should be, and I think there's a solution here. So Thibaut Courtois in goal, obviously the best goalie in the world right now. In the back line, a bunch of new familiar faces. I'm going one by one. Hincapi has been a defender that I've been looking at for years now. We'll say back in like 2021, and I feel like the player that Xabi Alonso would bring in out of anyone in Leverkusen is, if you want to say Hincapi, sure, or Jonathan Tah is also running down his contract. I don't think Florian Wirtz is not even a possibility, let alone a realistic signing for Real Madrid. I think Hincapi is a young, good defender, and Real Madrid lately have a bunch of defense injuries with Alaba, Rudiger, Militao, Carvajal. The only reason Asensio played this year was because of injuries. Asensio would not be a player in anyone's mind if none of the center backs for Real Madrid got hurt, and he showcased his talent and shows that he's got it. So Hincapi, I think that anyone he would bring in from Leverkusen, it would be him. Center back with Dean Huijsen, probably the most unrealistic one, just because Real Madrid are not known for signing such young talents in the Premier League like that. Unless you want to say, they brought in Luka Modric, but they haven't really, someone that's a wonder kid. Then I think he fits the agenda of Real Madrid. He's a Madrid supporter. He is Spanish, tall, good defensively. Got a national team call up, doing amazing things in Bournemouth. I think on the verge of an FA Cup final. I'm wrong about that. But I think Real Madrid needs something new in defense and rotational. And if they're not using their academy, might as well get young talents in Europe. I'm not saying this is like 100% going to be a starting lineup, but just thinking how you can 100% put in a Militao if he's 100% fit, or Rudiger, swap them in and out, whatever you want to say. I think Asensio should be a guaranteed starter, and if Xabi does bring in this three in the back line and it works, I would like this for Real Madrid's next couple of years of how they line up, because I think that three back line, sure, you want to say there's no captaincy or there's no leadership or experience, so you can add Rudiger instead of Hincapi if he actually signs, or Huijsen, who's also rumored to Liverpool or Arsenal and Chelsea. Alaba if he's fit, or Militao if he's fit. That's the thing, fit. Here's the one everyone's gonna be talking about, Fran Garcia. I think Fran Garcia is one of the most underrated players and doesn't get the support and attention that he deserves. People just don't rate him. And Madrid, they're saying that Madrid needs a left back like Alvaro Carreras or Miguel Gutierrez, who are both Madrid academy players, which I do really like and rate. But I think Fran Garcia, the way he gets down to the final third, the way he runs back for the ball, for me, he's not even he wasn't even. He's not. He hasn't even shown case of what he can do 100% of the times. He doesn't get minutes. Of course, he's playing now because your left back is injured, and your center mid that you usually use as left back is injured, and your center back who just came back from injury is injured again, and he can't play left back. Of course, you're forced to play your backup left back because even though you never wanted to all season, and Chelsea did not want to use Frank Garcia at all this season. He's got more minutes from last year. Don't get me wrong, but he did not want to use him. He'd rather play other players out of position than Frank Garcia, which is just weird to me. For me, he's better than Mendy. He should be Real Madrid's left back number one, and yeah, I think he would excel in the wing back. He is quick, pacey, gets the ball back. I think Fran Garcia at a wing back formation under Xabi Alonso would do amazing things. Right wing back Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think Trent would also excel. I said this months ago. I said the only way I would want Trent in Real Madrid is not under Carlos Ancelotti. I do not want Trent under Carlos Ancelotti. If it's a Xabi Alonso and he uses the wing backs formation, I think Trent would do way better than that. Trent, you want to say he lacks defense. People acting like Trent can't defend at all. 100%. I've seen situations, especially in that Manchester United game, where Trent can't defend at all, or can't defend as good. But I feel like in this formation, you have you have backups. If Fede wants to pivot back, he can. You also have three defenders behind you to make sure that you're fine and that you can push up. Ronaldo, Asensio, 100% can win the ball back. Even if we want to add a Danny Carvajal in center back to play that sort of role, also I can 100% see that. So I just think that Trent would actually do really good. Get the ball in the middle, get the long balls to Mbappe. I think that Mbappe, Trent, right side would just look amazing. Center mids with Jude and Fede. I think one thing that lacks, if you want to say, is defensive. I can 100% see already go back, but obviously Fede is more of an attacking player, and I would want to see Chouameni in this lineup. I really do. But do you drop Arda for that? Do you drop Arda Güler for that? Do you drop a Fede? I don't think you're not gonna drop Bellingham. I want to see Chouameni in the starting lineup. It's just hard to see. If of course, our rotation things is a thing. I'm just used to seeing the team. I'm just used to seeing the same players play week in and week out every game. So I think with Xabi is hopefully he rotates players around. Sometimes if Arda can't play, you put Chouameni more in the back. You have Modric, you have Denis Ceballos, you have Camavinga. If you sign Nico Paz, which I think Real Madrid should sign, you have Nico Paz. And then up top you have Mbappe and Vini, and I think Arda just links up really well with both of them. And I think Madrid, when they've shown with these three players instead of Rodrigo, they just link up better and they play better. As much as I love Rodrigo, I think I always say this, but he's 100% one of the most. He is 100% the most underrated player in Real Madrid. The goals don't show what he does for Real Madrid, and legends like Thierry Henry says it, and I say it, and I 100% think that I have the most knowledge out of anyone, and Rodrigo deserves something more. He deserves to go to a top team to be the star player. I think he should go to an Arsenal and play in the left. A Liverpool 100% can play there. A team where he can play in his natural position and excel. And the second he does, he's going to win big trophies. He's going to be nominated for Ballon d'Ors and maybe even win. That's how much I rate. But this is how I would have Real Madrid going into this next season under Xabi Alonso. How I would really if I had pen and paper, this is how I would line up Real Madrid. Here I have the B team, backup team. Let me see if I can put it closer. Here I have the backup team. So in goal, Lunin. I'd rate Lunin. I think he's the best, besides Kelleher or maybe even Stefan Ortega. I do like Stefan Ortega, one of the best backup goalkeepers in the world. The reason Madrid won the Champions League last year is because of him. He was a key factor of him, one of the main reasons. Mendy, I'm not a huge fan of Mendy, but I think he's just good to have him as backup. He's done a lot for Real Madrid. I've always never really rated him as how people said he is, one of the best left backs in the world. I've never seen him like that, but he's just a good backup player to have if anything happens. Center backs, you have Rudiger and Militao. They 100% can start if they're 100% fit. Take out Hincapi, take out Dean Huijsen, or rotate the squad. That's a key thing that I want this Real Madrid team to be, is to rotate. I want Real Madrid to rotate the squad. Carvajal at right back, Sure, maybe you can add Carvajal to that list of center backs and start in the back three. I can 100% see Carvajal be one of those players. Um, I'm a huge fan of Lucas Vasquez, but he's not a right back. He's a winger, and I don't want to see Lucas Vasquez leave this year. I think Lucas Vasquez is such a good player in the attack. He gets to the final third, gets the ball in the middle, make the deep runs, get the passing. Lucas Vasquez is such an amazing player in attacking. Players don't see that. They just see his defensive mistakes, but people forget that he's a winger. He's a right winger playing at right back. You're not going to play Ferran Torres at right back. You're not going to play Fermin at left back if you're Barcelona. He's just playing out of position, and obviously he's not going to defend because he's not a player that's in his natural position. And Madrid this year have been playing players in out of position all year. Hate that. And then Camavinga and Chouameni, like I said before, these players can start also for Real Madrid. You can rotate, rotate, rotate. That's a key factor for me in this team. And you can 100%, these players can 100% start in the main team, and then this main team can go to this team to back up whatever. And most of these players on the list are not even there. Dani Ceballos and Modric is not on this list. 100% missing someone. Lucas Vasquez is not on this list because Madrid just have so much good talent, and it's just hard to put them on one, especially in two teams that I have here. Nico Paz, I think Nico Paz, saying for years. I've said it for two years now, I believe, even before he made his Madrid debut, that he's gonna be something. He's gonna be a top talent. He's such a good player that Real Madrid 100% should, you know, get him to the first team and evolve and progress into that player. And he had glimpses in Real Madrid. Scored that goal against Napoli, don't remember, but he had glimpses. He's a Champions League winner, and I I've been saying his name for years. No one listened to me. No one, no, not a single word, not a single person. They're like, Nico, who? I look at him this season, Como, one of the just getting one of the lowest teams in Italy, not performance wise, just like based on whatever, and now taking them to almost a 10th place, not getting relegated this year. And Cesc Fabregas, I love what he's doing over there with Como, getting young talents like Diallo, and experienced players like Roberto and Varane, but that situation didn't work out. Yeah, I've been a huge fan of Nico Paz for years now. Huge, huge, huge fan. Right wing here, Brahim Diaz. For me, Brahim Diaz is my favorite Real Madrid player. Love the way he plays the ball. Reminds me of Messi. That's how much I see Brahim Diaz. And I feel like this season wasn't even made to show it. Carlos Ancelotti likes to sub him in towards the 80th, 85th minute. What is he supposed to do there? What is he supposed to do with the last 10 minutes of the game? Brahim Diaz 100% has shown. For me, he's not a starter. Brahim Diaz, as much as he's my favorite Madrid player, he's not a starter. Brahim Diaz is a player where you put in the second half, not the 80th minute, but around the 60th minute to change up the pace of the game, to change up, he sets the plays. He changes the pace of the game. And he's done it many times. He's done it with Barcelona last year. The reason Jude Bellingham scored that last minute goal was because of Brahim Diaz. He's done it against Napoli. He's done it against Leipzig. He's done this many times. And Brahim Diaz is my favorite Real Madrid player, and that one mistake against Barcelona hopefully doesn't ruin his cred. Rodrigo, I have him here. If he doesn't leave, he's better on the left. Like he 100% can be a starter for Real Madrid. He is a starter for Real Madrid. He's Madrid's starter. But how just Madrid are right now at the moment, it just wouldn't work like that. So I don't. There's not really crazy enough to say. He's for me one of the most underrated players and deserves to join a top team and become one of the best. And then Endrick for me, deserves so much. Um, in the Copa del Rey, that's his tournament. Look what he's done in the Copa del Rey. I think that Endrick is crazy for me that he has less minutes than Ansu Fati this season in La Liga. Endrick, if when Vinny was underperforming, put Mbappe or Rodrigo on the left and put Endrick up top. Ancelotti didn't see that, and for me, every time, most 9 times out of 10, when Endrick had the ball, he scores or does something to change the pace, or not the pace, but for me he's a proper number 9. Madrid don't have that. Madrid don't have a number 9. They don't have a Victor Rodriguez. They don't have a Alexander Isak, a Sheshko, a Haaland, Lewandowski. They don't have that. And Endrick is that, but they just don't use that. Like I said before, I want this team to be a rotational team that you can rely on anybody. And I 100% concede Madrid on that Xabi Alonso. But if this is Real Madrid, those are the signings. What I would do, how I'd line up, how I think Real Madrid should do. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, we'll see you next time.